السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. حسناء الأيوبي الإدريسي أخصائية في حلول التعليم في الشرق الأوسط وإفريقيا بشركة مايكروسوفت. أتشرف بالحضور معكم اليوم في هذا اللقاء، وأود أن أوجه الشكر والامتنان لجميع الأساتذة والأستاذات الحاضرين اليوم في هذا الإدوكيشن داي الخاص بالعالم العربي. سيكون هناك مداخلات لاختصاصيين في عدة مجالات تخص مستجدات التكنولوجيا الحديثة بمايكروسوفت. فسيتم التقاسم معكم عن الاستعمالات البيداغوجية لمجموعة من البرامج، من بينهم برنامج تيمز، البرمجة عبر ماينكرافت، برنامج الأساتذة المجددين، الأساتذة المبدعين، مسابقات كمسابقة Imagine Cup Junior اللي هي للتلاميذ ما بين 16 سنة و 18 سنة، شهادات مايكروسوفت كشهادات وورد، إكسل، باوربوينت وأخرى وكذا. فهذا اللقاء سيكون باللغة الإنجليزية، ولكن ستكون هناك ترجمة فورية على الشاشة. للإشارة، فبالنسبة للناس الذين لم يتمكنوا من الحضور أو الالتحاق بهذا اللقاء، فكل هذه المداخلات فهي مسجلة وستكون متوفرة لكم على الرابط on demand ابتداء من اليوم لمدة شهر كامل إن شاء الله. إذن سنبدأ على بركة الله، وأتمنى أن يكون هذا اللقاء مفيداً ومثمراً للجميع، وشكراً.
Hi there, I'm Jay Richards Hill, and as you can see from the slide, I'm Microsoft's Learning Solutions and Skills Lead for the Middle East and Africa. And it's really great to join you today on this session, and I'm going to talk a little bit about blended learning. I guess this is one of the topics that's on almost every educator's lips at the moment. So let's dive into it and see what we can discover together. We know, of course, that everybody is having to adapt to a hugely evolving landscape affecting education. These changes are seismic. We've never seen the like of this before. And we know because of this that we have to change the way we do things. We have to try to make some progression on this journey away from a one-size-fits-all, so that we're really striving for individualized learning, satisfying the needs of every student. And what we think to support this in Microsoft is that blended learning is the way to go. Now, for those of you who are not sure what blended learning is, it's a way of combining many different types of resources and many different types of activities in the classroom, or some learners may even be at home working asynchronously. But blended learning brings the best of both face-to-face teaching and digital resources and other ways all together to support the needs of every individual learner. As you can see from the graphic on the screen here, it combines the best of whole class face-to-face instruction, independent learning, working in small groups on projects and challenges, and formative assessment tasks supported by great use of technology. This is what we mean when we talk about blended learning. It's different from hybrid learning, because hybrid learning, of course, is where you're teaching a class the same content. However, some people join online and you have some face-to-face in the class. But blended learning is really about the pedagogical approach you bring to every lesson you teach, using the best resources you can find, because we all know that good teachers use great resources. So here you go. Here's another explanation for you around blended learning. We're going to share this presentation with you so that you'll have all of these notes. But what we do know is that the influx of all of the new technology and the way we've had to change over the past 18 months has brought real advances in our competency in using technology to underpin great learning and teaching. And of course, this technology makes it easier to introduce blended learning scenarios into the classroom. You've probably been doing this for many years already. You may have small groups of children doing project work while you work with other individuals or small groups, and while other children are working together in a focal point of collaboration at the front of the class. That's really blended learning, It's really, really just a great pedagogical approach. It's made a lot easier, of course, by digital resources and technology that you can harness to enrich the learning experience in your classroom and for your learners. And you can see here from what we call the blended learning arc, it's just a process that teachers use in any blended learning model that really engages students and facilitates personalized learning and instruction. Have a look at the slide here. You'll probably recognize many of the stages on this slide. This is really a deep dive, a big dissection, if you like, of what we mean when we talk about blended learning, the different types of activities that you can introduce, and how it all comes together to make a great experience in your classroom for your learners. So why do we think about blended learning? Well, of course, we know that it saves time and class management. As groups of learners engage with resources, they complete tasks, resources are saved and reused again and again with different classes. Blended learning allows for greater differentiation within your class. I mean, we know the learning differences are greatest within school than compared to when between schools. So in other words, the differences in achievement from your learners, one to the other, can be greater within a school rather than between different schools. What that actually means is the quality of your classroom instruction is critical in helping all learners to achieve the best they possibly can. And differentiation is key to this because it drives personalized learning. While some learners are tackling extension work and more complex extensions of the knowledge, you can be working with other learners who perhaps have more difficulty in grasping the concepts or struggle to achieve even the core curriculum. Differentiation really drives blended learning. It's about setting the right content and the right activity for the right learner at the right time in your classroom. Data generated from the use of digital resources, of course, is available to inform and direct those formative assessments of learning that are so valuable in your classroom in helping learners understand what they need to do to achieve more and do better. So when you add all of this together, these are a fantastic recipe for driving classroom success and broader achievement from your learners. And this is what we're hoping to achieve when we talk about blended learning. So what's possible moving forward? We've spoken to many of our showcase school leaders around Microsoft. These are some of the quotes from them you can see on the screen. Just look at that first one there on the left. We plan to continue blended learning, leveraging technology, continuous professional development to keep members of staff abreast with current trends in the education space. The future plan is to offer the blend of online and physical methods of transacting the curriculum to be able to engage the students better and to offer the best to our students. Isn't that a fantastic quote from a school leader in one of our showcase schools? This is what we can achieve if we really think about the design of every lesson we teach and make sure that it's focused on the individuals in our classrooms. The days of teaching one-to-many, I think, are gone. So how can we reimagine what teaching and learning could be when powered by Microsoft digital technology? Of course, some of the key points you can see on the screen here. I'm not going to read them out, but these are from an OECD Education and Skills Today survey. They're saying the role of teachers will have to be reinvented. But of course, we've seen this over the COVID lockdown period when we've all had to adapt to teaching online remotely and shifting the pedagogical approach to ensure that as many learners as possible are engaged. The OECD tell us that technology can help adapt learning to different student needs. This is what we've just talked about, differentiation. It gives learners greater ownership over what they learn, how they learn, when they learn, and where they learn. It's a huge recipe for success. I'd really encourage you to have a look at this research, dig deep into it and see how this could be reflected in your classroom. And lastly, of course, the OECD make a great point. It's only by investing in teachers that technology can liberate them from routine administrative and instructional tasks. Think about that. Great use of technology can free you up to do what you do best, learning and teaching with the young people in every one of your classes every day of the week. So moving on, We know we've got to move into a post-COVID digital mindset. Face-to-face, we now know, is only one way of successfully delivering great learning and teaching. It can be used alongside other effective experiences. In this day and age, to make learning contextually relevant to the world outside that our learners inhabit, digital is a must-have to provide this relevance. It also means we can widen the social and participatory nature of learning experiences. And of course, it's great for practice, for turning skills into competencies, for allowing young people to demonstrate what they can do with what they've learned in your class and from the materials that you provide from them. And another study we found from The Economist, of course, is really interesting because when we look back at digital transformation over the years, this survey has shown us that skill building is learning and teaching. It's a shift skills towards competencies. And this skill building is really, really affected and improved, enhanced by digital transformation and the use of technology. And after all, what is skill building but the learning and teaching that takes place in your classroom with your age, stage, grade or subject every day? Looking at our Showcase School community again, we can see that they're making huge progress. We see a pull from users to use technology in new and innovative ways. And this is creating that democratization of education technology, a shift towards blended and hybrid learning models, and the democratization of learning. It's driving huge pedagogical change towards the more self-organized learning environments. Here's a new word for you. You might not have heard this, and kudos to those of you that has, but this is driving a change from a pedagogical approach to a heutagogical classroom environment, where learners direct their learning within defined parameters with a defined end goal, but the journey is really up to them. How they utilize all of the resources in the classroom, digital, non-digital, the teacher, their peers, parents, professional and social networks, all of these add up to how they will travel that learning journey with your guidance. The role of teachers has never, ever been as important, probably in history, than it is now in guiding our young people who are exposed to content and information in the digital world 24/7. Somebody once said that going online was like taking a drink from a fire hose. And who better to guide young people through this new environment, this new landscape, to help them make sense of this world and assess, is content true? Is it false news? How can we share it, curate it, add to it? This is the role of the teacher in a 21st century digital age. And blended learning is your key to delivering this. Blended learning, as we've said, combines the best of whole group instruction, independent learning, and other ways, aided by technology. You can see some of the benefits on the slide here, but look at this. Enable students to move at their own pace. We know the power of self-paced learning. We've seen it during COVID and the lockdown, when young people have been able to move through curriculum resources that you've shared with them at their own pace, and that makes them much more confident and certain that they understand, rather than at the same pace as everybody else in a class, where everybody, of course, may well have a very different ability. Developing students' agency is good. We need to encourage our students to become active participants in learning. It's the only way they'll become active participants in society and life when they leave school. And of course, we know the power of formative assessment for learning, rather than summative assessment, which is more for making judgment. And technology allows you to give instant and immediate feedback to young people on what they need to do to improve their work to achieve more. So how can we do this? How can we power this connected experience for learning, for blended learning? Well, of course, Microsoft Teams and Office 365 can play a huge part in this, and you probably already know that from the work you're doing. But look at some of these things you can do with this connected experience provided by Teams. You can engage young people, they can collaborate together. You can use tools like Reading Progress to assess how your students are coming on and developing their literacy skills. Of course, building the community is really important, and Teams is a great place for those informal learning networks. The features we build into our Office 365 and Windows 11 suite really support the agenda of accessibility and inclusion. And then, of course, that social and emotional learning through the check-ins that you can do in your team's classes. Very important to keep young people feeling that they are involved and they are cared for in your class and you cared for about their progress. And then, of course, for teachers, of course, as well as delivering professional development and the insights you can get from the data in teams, coordinating your colleagues and the faculty into professional learning networks in teams is a great way of using Teams to deliver a branded learning experience to staff as well as to the learners. The next slides go through each of those areas in a lot more detail. I'm not going to dwell on those now. You can see them in the presentation when we share it, but enabling students to move at their own pace is a proven way of driving outcomes and improving the achievement of all your learners. When you think about agency, we covered that before. This is so important. If young people feel that they are in control of their learning, then those young people are going to engage more and hopefully achieve more. And then, of course, providing feedback. We could do a whole session on formative assessment, I know, but the takeaway message here is about blended learning gives you lots of information that allows you to give great feedback to your learners. And of course, the more technology you have that provides this data, the more you're able to use it. We've seen lots of one-to-one device deployments, bring your own device deployments, shared devices. All of these are great strategies. But it's how you use the technology which is important. And how you give feedback on how your learners are progressing is made easier by using the technology. Just think about Microsoft Reading Progress, the new app in Teams. You've heard that it's integrated into the new Windows, so it's easier to conduct blended, hybrid and online learning using tools like Reading Progress, where young people can work on their own. You can set them a passage, they can read that, record it, and they can share it with peers, or they can share it with you to give feedback. And look at some of the data you get from Reading Progress. Words per minute, how accurate the pronunciation is, how many mispronunciations there are. So much data that allows you to give real quality feedback to those learners who you have in your class. So if we look at Teams and we think about blended learning and we look about the programs that we have to support you, this is what some of our MIE experts are saying. They're telling us they plan to blend face-to-face and online learning strategies. They think that's a way of increasing collaboration between students and teachers. And leaders, take note, they tell us that for professional development, they prefer small group learning and short how-to videos than after school, just in case professional development. This is really appropriate scenario-based, just in time professional development. And it's effective because our teachers, our MIE experts are telling us that's how they learn best. 59% of our MIE experts are telling us that their schools or systems have already decided to offer an online-only option upon return to school buildings. So their school systems around the world are thinking how they extend the classroom out into their community of learners. And 86% of our MIE experts are telling us they're bringing the best of remote learning into the face-to-face classroom in a blended environment. When we speak to thought leaders around the world, they're giving us some interesting feedback about hybrid and blended models of instruction that are focused on learning. We spoke to UNESCO. The Beyond Reopening Schools paper is a really important piece of research that distills a lot of the experiences and the challenges that we found. Another one I like is the In Time of Crisis paper. What can we learn about learning time from the Educational Leadership publication? Have a look at some of these quotes. They'll really make you think about how the researchers and thought leaders are taking the findings from the COVID period and digging deeply into what they find to figure out how we could really reimagine learning going forward. We built some resources that can help you at Microsoft if you're thinking about how you move forward with blended learning. And on the slide here, we've got some links that can show you some of the training materials that we've built, some demos around the Reading Progress app, and shows you how to connect with us at the Microsoft Educator Centre. But please reach out to your local Microsoft Education team if you want to know more about how we can support you with delivering blended learning in your school and your classrooms. And just to finish up a little bit more about professional development, we've built a really great course that helps school leaders to understand much more about the value of blended learning environments and the power they have to offer students the best of both worlds of learning. We've already talked about how we define blended learning. It's about classroom pedagogy and even that shift to heutagogy. You remember that word. But this course is great because when you go through this course, you'll learn how to assess where you currently are through the lens of blended learning. How could you improve what you're already doing? How could you make the learning more engaging? And why continuous improvement is important in sustaining blended learning for the future to go where we all want to go, driving better learning outcomes. The course takes you through why blended learning, what it actually is, what we're thinking about. Of course, saving time, differentiation, personalized learning, and the use of data. Well, we've already talked about that, but this course digs into that really deeply. It looks about how you can take the best strategies from remote, from hybrid, blending, and face-to-face and bring them all together in your classroom. There are modules in there about what the strategies are that you could employ to make your execution of blended learning much more effective. Going on to the end, how do you get these small groups of learners solving challenges, which is such a keystone of any blended learning approach, small group work and collaboration. And collaboration is really, really what we're after, isn't it? Because we know that employers are demanding that these so-called soft skills or social and emotional skills are much more visible in young people moving into the world of work. So how can you support and develop young people in their skills around collaboration? Well, of course, blended learning is a great way to foster that approach. And this course will show you some really good strategies that will help you think about your lesson structure. So have a look at this. If you're an MIE trainer or a trainer, have a look at our Microsoft Innovative Educator Academy, because there are some great sessions on there which will help you when you're training your colleagues. So I'm at the end of this presentation now. I hope you have a great event. It's been wonderful to talk to you a little bit about blended learning. Get in touch with us. Connect with me. There's my email address. Find me on LinkedIn. We're all more than happy to work with you to support how you take forward blended learning and how you improve engagement and how you drive the greater success of all of the young people who come through your classrooms. Thanks so much for listening. As I said, have a great event, and I'm looking forward to connecting with as many of you as possible afterwards. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arnaud Mellier. I am a Future Ready Skills Lead, part of the Microsoft Education team from covering Middle East and Africa, and I'm based in Mauritius. My mission is to support institutions and its educators to empower every student from K-Career to be ready to innovate and create in an increasingly digital world, and ultimately to be future ready. Our youth represents the future, yet the world is complex and changing fast, bringing new challenges never seen before. The fourth industrial revolution is affecting every discipline and every industry, and a growing range of digital, human, and 21st century skills is needed for jobs at every levels. In order to empower students to be future ready, Microsoft offers programs and resources with a view to support educators to teach new technology concepts, to educate students to be future ready with technology skills, to empower institutions with curricula and certifications, and to connect institutions with corporations to support student employability. What is evident to a certain degree is that we are shifting to a world where almost all roles require some level of technology skills. Technology skills requirements are rapidly changing in the workforce. Skills and learning, including technology skills that used to be important for a narrow band of students pursuing computer science or technology curriculum, are now priorities across the education spectrum. Jobs require the skills across all sectors, from healthcare to banking to marketing. It's increasingly difficult to think of a position or career that is not touched in some way by technology. What we are seeing is that every career is transforming into a tech career. More than 50% of today's jobs require some technology skills. An expert saying that percentage will increase to 77% in less than a decade. In addition to that, it is being projected that 65% of today's grade school students will perform jobs that haven't been invented yet. We also know that 71% of jobs classified as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths related are in computing fields, meaning the T or technology part of STEM, and yet only 8% of university graduates are enrolled in the relevant computer science program. At this rate, there simply won't be enough qualified students to fill the global gap. By 2025, Microsoft and LinkedIn estimate that the global workforce can absorb around 149 million new technology-oriented jobs. Software development accounting for the largest single share of this forecast, but roles in related fields like data analysis, cybersecurity, privacy protection are also poised to grow substantially. It is also good to highlight that the in-demand job also extend to other roles like customer service, digital marketing, project manager, among others. As we focus on what it means to be future ready, basically Microsoft supports for future ready skills centers on 3 pillars. 1, future ready students. 2, future-ready educators, and 3, future-ready institutions. From a future-ready institution perspective, the objectives here is really to support the institutional technology teams to stay up to date with latest technology and to keep on keeping their skills fresh and validated in order to support the institution through the digital transformation journey. From a future-ready educators' perspective, we know educators plays a pivotal role in accompanying their students during this whole journey towards employability. Educators need to ensure that they are upskilling themselves in order to be able to teach and skill up their students to get them ready to be future ready. Upskilling here is not always easy with technology evolving and new concepts in market and new concept coming into market that students and educators are being exposed to simultaneously. Educators also need to access learning paths and online modules to learn about the latest technologies and their application in their learning environment. From a future-ready student's perspective, as the skills needed for the future evolve, our key intent is to better connect education with the workplace. Microsoft has a number of programs to support students of all ages, from K to career to experience various technologies to learn the concepts and tools they'll need to fill the jobs of the future. Students today want to change the world and solve some of the world's biggest challenges. Sparking their interest and connection to the world is a great way to drive motivation. Students will need to be introduced to technology tools and concepts that will spark their interest in STEM and computer science. It's also about engaging a diverse student population early and encouraging all students to start on the path to learn those fundamental skills. Minecraft Education, which provides a great way to engage students, promote 21st century skills, and propel their path with coding and computer science. It's a collaborative game-based learning platform that engages K-12 learners in STEMs and computer science. Minecraft helps students build 21st century skills like creativity, problem solving, and computational thinking. So Then you have Microsoft Make Codes, which bring computer science to life for all students with fun projects, immediate results, a way to bring the students together to work on projects and to, here again, to enhance the 21st century skills. As students progress through their academic years, it is important that they extend learning with productivity tools that will become the foundation for much of their career, as well as transfer their interest into technologies like cloud, artificial intelligence, and data. As long as a long-time industry leader supporting innovation and job creation, Microsoft is working closely with businesses and school leaders to understand the employability skill standards and global certification needed for the latest technology careers. A key priority is how to bring the current relevant applied learning for in-demand career path to school and educators for classroom-based, online, and blended educational experiences leading to industry credentials for students. Microsoft Imagine Academy provides schools with access to a full technology curriculum solution supporting educator learning and professional development for teaching technology courses and enabling students to achieve success through industry certification for college and career readiness. This is the largest IT curriculum program of its kind with over 15,000 member schools globally. There are 4 key emerging areas of studies and learning pathways: computer science, where students will learn about coding skill, we acquire coding skill based on latest tools and techniques, productivity, mastery of productivity applications that are used in business, data science, introduction to data science concepts and tools, IT infrastructure, skills in IT administration, and cloud platform solutions. All of those curriculum are downloadable and can be uploaded into the school learning management system, shared with learners, may it be IT staff, educators, and students, in order for them to complete learning and even to prepare their certification. Microsoft Learn is a one-stop shop for digital learning tailored to students, educators, IT staff, and IT professionals. It provides step-by-step bit-sized tutorials and engaging modules that are freely available online and support technology proficiency from beginners to advanced level learners. I'm just going to show you very briefly the Microsoft Learn portal, which is accessible online. And as you can notice right from start, it's a personalized portal for students, educators, and IT professional staff, all willing to upskill, to learn new technologies, or even to reskill themselves. And it's categorized by products. You can learn about all of the Microsoft products, all new products or existing products that are currently being deployed within your institution or that you're looking forward to deploy in your institution, or even for students who would like to get acquainted to technology that are being used in the industry, emerging new technologies. And there's also a classification in terms of in-demand roles that the industry is looking in terms of talents, in terms of skills, and also for IT professionals who are already accumulating those roles in their existing jobs, or who are looking forward to upskill themselves based on their respective roles. So for someone who's an administrator who would like to learn about to keep himself up to date on emerging technologies and so on, so they can just click on administrator and they are going to discover all new updates and new products that are being launched by Microsoft, and they can even prepare themselves towards certification. Okay, so you will also notice there are 2 additional roles as part of this list. There's a corner. One of the role is the educator role, and the other role is for the student role. So basically, for the educator, it's a corner where the educator can learn about how to use technology in order to drive courses, how to use technology the most effective way when it comes to hybrid, remote, and blended learning, and implementing certifications in academic programs and so on. So this is a corner where the students, the educators, can upskill themselves and keep himself up or herself up to date on new technologies and how it can be best used to drive learning and teaching. For a student perspective, so for a student to learn about new technologies, and to learn how to code or to learn the concepts and of new technologies that are being deployed or that can have an impact on their respective field of studies, may be at school or even based on their future aspirations. So basically, they'll have a corner where they can have all intro to new technologies. They can even participate to worldwide competition that are being organized by Microsoft. Okay, and the third and new corner as part of Microsoft Learn is the Educator Center. Here again, we have a very, we really want to support the educators to upskill themselves. So we have a corner where basically the educator can go deep dive in learning how learning with interactive lesson and professional development hours, acquire certification, and find programs that will help them in using technology in the most effective way, and their application in learning environments. Okay, and then we have a corner focus on certifications. So for those who are going through those learning paths on Microsoft Learn and who would like to increase their value on the market and increase their credibility towards potential employer, basically, they can complete the two different types of certifications that are available. So we have a fundamental certification which cover all the fundamental concepts on emerging new technologies, and then we have a role-based certification which are attached with in-demand job roles. Okay, so I'll go back to my slide. So the last part of my presentation is related to Imagine Cup. We believe that students today will be the change makers of tomorrow. So empowering them with the tools and opportunities to learn new skills and be future leaders is core to our mission. Imagine Cup is perhaps one of the most visible ways we encourage students to address real-world problems with teamwork and technology. While Microsoft has close to 20 years of experience running Imagine Cup with 10,000 of university students having moved through this program, in 2020 we decided that high school students should not have to wait. Imagine Cup Junior is a technology challenge for 13 to 18-year-olds that helps them to be technology innovators capable of making a difference in the world. That's why we extended Imagine Cup to younger students with the Imagine Cup Junior. So the 2022 challenge is focused on artificial intelligence for good with an added cybersecurity lesson. And why Imagine Cup Junior is focused on artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence being one of the world's most important technologies, and Microsoft is a key leader in this sector, particularly through its cloud platform offering Azure. And we want to empower young people with the skills and confidence to be AI for good inventors, which will bring positive changes to our communities and our world. There is a growing desire from across the education sector to support young people to study computer science, STEM subjects, and artificial intelligence. And here is just an overview of the AI for good categories. Microsoft is making a difference, is focused on making a difference in the world with AI in these 5 categories: AI for Earth, AI for cultural heritage, AI for accessibility, AI for humanitarian action, and AI for health. So what is the opportunity for the students? It's a free program. There's no cost for the students to take part of Imagine Cup. They'll have the opportunity to learn about artificial intelligence and one of the most world most important technologies. It's a global competition, so we'll have the opportunity to compete on the world stage for their school, community, and country, and also to develop skills to foster new skills and confidence in artificial intelligence, and also to enhance the 21st century skills. So what do students do in Imagine Cup Junior? Students learn about artificial intelligence through a simple to follow an engaging curriculum. They will ideate, dream up, and submit an artificial intelligence concept that solves a problem in the world, and their submission will be judged next to others from around the world, and basically they will be winning trophies and high-profile mentoring opportunities. three ways students can get involved. First one is through hackathons. So there will be a number of hackathons that will be run online, or even the teachers can learn about how to run hackathon with the support of Microsoft. And the teachers can run those hackathon at school with the resources that will be provided. So we'll be providing ImagineCub Junior Toolkit to the teachers so that they can run 5 lessons of 45 minutes to their students in order to support them to move learning, to ideate and to submit their AI concept. And whenever there are any teachers or institutions who would like to go deeper into learning about those new technologies, so we'll make those resources available, and it will be up to a teacher to decide whether they would like to leverage on those resources to teach to their students. So the key dates for ImagineCub Junior, basically the official launch in January. And from there on, all of the participants basically will have the opportunity, of those who would like to attend the office hours or even the hackathon online. So basically, they can do so within February, March, and April, and basically by 12th of May, they will need to have their project ready for submission. So thank you very much for attending these sessions. And whenever you have any additional questions or you would like to inquire more about any of the programs that I have just presented, please feel free to contact us, my colleague Hasna, and myself, Ornu. I will be glad to support you. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. Today's session is on devices for education, empowering students with devices to enable learning and develop 21st century skills. My name is Renee, and I work in the education team at Microsoft as a modern work classroom solution area specialist. I'm hoping the information that I'm going to share with you today will help you in terms of your strategy for hybrid learning and selecting the right type of device to make sure that the students get the rich experiences that they need to have a great learning practice. We can definitely say that the past few months have not been easy, but a lot of us had to enter into a remote learning practice itself. But as I'm having conversations with school leaders and educators, they've all been telling me that they are considering a hybrid learning movement. But they're quite concerned that hybrid learning will just mean that there's more squares on screens. And then they're also concerned about the engagement as students and teachers are having video conferencing fatigue. The stats on the slide clearly shows that remote learning was a necessity, but it wasn't ideal, with 50% of the educators witnessing a drop of student engagements during their shift to remote learning, and 70% of the educators were concerned about the ability to keep students' engagements high and deliver high-value learning experiences. With that said, technology still brings many enormous opportunities to education, as 93% of students believe that digital learning does have some benefit, and 85% of the educators believe that the pandemic accelerated digital learning by at least a decade. School leaders have a lot to think about as they look into solutions for hybrid learning and bringing in the right type of device for equitable learning. Education equity means that each learner receives what they need in order to reach their academic and social potential, both inside and outside of the classroom, including access to opportunities, resources, and support based on where they are, where they want to go, and technology solutions to help them get there. We believe that all learners deserve access to the best learning opportunities and support systems in order to contribute positively and purposefully to the world, regardless of their ability, income, language, location, or identity. Microsoft is fully committed to supporting school systems in their design for equitable and sustainable learning environments itself. We want to make sure that we are designing for today, tomorrow, and the future, as it all matters. We want to make sure that we future-proof IT with versatile solutions that scale to your needs, ensuring continuity of learning for all students, maximizing learning opportunities, and also enhancing our simplified deployment and management and security features. Let's take a look at how Microsoft in Education enables you to ensure the continuity of learning for all students. As we recently announced, we have reimagined our Windows, and we believe it will broaden access to tech as well as enabling successful learning no matter the location, and tech that is so simple to deploy and manage and secure. With announcements of Windows 11, we want to make sure that we unlock the full potential for every student and deliver high-quality learning tools for all students of all abilities, be it at school or even online. We have enhanced our built-in accessibility features, like our voice typing, and also made our ease of access settings much easier to find, as well as minimize the clutter and minimize distractions. We want to make sure that we safeguard our students and teachers from cyber threats and protect them with built-in threat protection, and then defend our students from unsafe web content and downloads. We have gained also performance on our hardware by having affordable devices that have been built for education itself. We've also announced Windows 11 SE, which will be available later on in the year, which is our cloud-first, cloud-managed device that is a new version of Windows itself. It is called Windows 11 SE, and its focus is between the K to 8. We want to make sure that these devices have been optimized for performance to run on low-cost hardware and still having the great experience that you're used to from our Microsoft 365 education productivity apps and services. So this device should be out later towards the beginning of next year. Now we have a full Microsoft in Education portfolio of devices where we have the best value and simplicity from a device with Windows 11 SE, but also having versatility as well as choice and providing advanced performance with Windows Pro Education devices that will be available. These devices have been made, these new education devices have been made to have all-day battery lives. These devices have been built for education in mind and being able to have ruggedization, standardization on it from drop-proof as well as spill and dust-proof. These devices will also feature USB-C charging capabilities to make it universal and also provide newer type of technologies like Wi-Fi 6 as well as LTE and 4G capabilities on the device itself. So maximizing learning opportunities, we know that Microsoft in Education delivers one unified platform for teaching and learning and work in order for schools to provide an equitable learning environment. With Windows 11, Microsoft 365 and Teams combined as a platform for learning that is inclusive design, fostered well-being, accelerates learning and develops career readiness. And from a simplified deployment management and security standpoint, we've made our Intune for Education a lot easier to manage our Windows-based devices with having ability to set zero-touch configurations and also having these devices managed with the power of the cloud. You can enforce policies and applications from anywhere IT sits. With Intune for Education, you can deploy a setting, application, control Windows updates and securities, and even perform remote actions on a device located from anywhere. Some of the examples that can be done with Intune for Education. As an example, if a student loses their device, using Intune for Education, the IT person can help locate the device. If a teacher wants to disable the cameras on the laptops for a period of a week, for let's, as an argument's sake, say for an upcoming assessment, the IT school leader can actually implement the policy with a few clicks. And if there's a new feature, be it in Office or Windows, that the teacher wants to make sure that it's on all of the devices, Intune for Education can apply policies onto those devices so that the educator can have the great experiences with the students itself. Microsoft is committed to supporting school systems in design of these equitable learning environments to enable it for all students to help develop the critical skills and knowledge, builds solutions so that they're inclusive by design, as well as empower students' systems to accelerate learning transformations. As I've spoken in this presentation, let's head over to see a short demonstration of what Windows 11 brings to all of us. So this is my Windows 11 PC, and as you can see, it's a familiar Windows that you know of. Starting with the Start button on the bottom left-hand side, with a single click, I'm able to open up a Start menu. The Start menu has been redesigned to optimize the way that we are looking for applications and documents itself. On top, we are able to find all of the frequently used applications, and I can scroll in my Applications menu. And below, I can find all of my documents that I've been accessing frequently. In my All Applications tab, I'm able to find all the list of applications that I have installed on my local device itself. Next to the Start button is a search bar. And in the search bar, if I'm looking for an application that might not be frequently used, like CMD, I'm able to open up my command prompt very quickly, and with a few, just with typing in the few words, I'm able to actually open up command prompt very quickly and swiftly. Next to the search icon is I have a multi-desktop mode. Think about how students are accessing applications today and the documents and research that they're doing. If they're accessing information across different subjects, they want to maybe minimize the amount of clutter as well as distractions. So now we've introduced multi-desktops where students can have one desktop as an example for geography, another desktop for mathematics, another one for history. And this will follow the settings accordingly. So now I'm able to have multiple desktops itself. I will select desktop 2, and you can see that I've been looking up information about Leonardo da Vinci. With a Microsoft Edge browser, you are able to see all of the new feature sets that we are bringing in with our learning tools. So I've searched for Leonardo da Vinci on a Wikipedia site. On the right-hand side, you'll see if I enter the F9 key on my keyboard or click on the icon, it actually enters into something called our immersive reader, so reading mode. Now, what happens is that it optimizes the website and gives me the ability to have a more legible way of reading through the information. And if I'm not able to read through the information, maybe I want to hear what's the website's content, I have a button that says read aloud. And with it reading aloud, I'm reading back to me directly from the website. And I also have text preference where I can increase the text size. Maybe it's a bit too small for me to read it depending on the monitor that I have. I would like to have a bit more control of the text itself, so I can optimize it to make it larger text or smaller text. I can increase the text spacing as well. I can change the font. And if the background is too harsh on my eyes, I can even change this into a darker mode experience where I'm able to, it allows for the background to be changed to a better color to suit my requirements. And as you can see, I have more colors I'm able to select from. I also have grammar tools where I can identify parts of speech, identify nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs directly from just by switching them on. And then if I am practicing to read and I just want to enhance my reading skills, I can also have line focus where I'm not distracted by the additional content and just having line by line reading and then scrolling through. So I can increase this from 1 line to 3 lines to actually 5 lines itself. And another nice feature as well is if I don't understand the word, and I would like to see exactly what the meaning of the word is through a picture, there's a picture dictionary that if I had to click on an icon, close here, and I say drawing, it gives me an example of what drawings mean and painting. So now I'm able to, hover over the word and click on it, and I'm able to see the picture dictionary of it. Another feature that we have within our immersive reader is the ability to translate. So as an example, if I want to translate this document from English to Afrikaans, I can simply click on translate Afrikaans and the whole document, and as you can see, it starts changing the language from English to Afrikaans. And I can always revert back to it by just unselecting this box, and then it takes it back to English itself. So that's our immersive reader built into our Microsoft Edge as a product. So going back to our multi-windows, as you can see that we also have a widget option. And this is where you can add additional widgets itself, like maybe to-do lists. So if a student has multiple assignments that they want to complete, they can mark them off with a to-do list on the widget itself. And if I'm interested in sports and so forth, I'm able to add additional widgets to the document. So over the past few months, we received feedback from our educators in terms of students' progression with their reading capabilities. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of the reading scores did not improve. And our educators have reached out to Microsoft in terms of looking at solutions that could assist them through this. We've added a new feature into Microsoft Teams not too long ago called Reading Progress, where we've designed the service to help educators being able to track how a student's reading is progressing. So if I had to navigate through Teams, I'm in the persona of a teacher. A teacher would just need to go and access a team. In this case, I'll select the algebra class. I will click on assignments. I will go create, and then I would select assignment. So under assignment, I can give it a title and say read me test. I can give it some instructions, and then I can attach the type of assignment that I want. So if I attach, I can select reading progress, and reading progress will give me two options. One of them is to upload content that I would like the student to read. This is in a Word or PDF format, or I can actually view samples through the library that's preset within Teams itself. So as you can see, I've got some content that's readily available, and I have different grades that I can select to make sure that the content is most appropriate from the database itself. So in here, I can go and select, as an example, a camping trip. I can see that it's 150 words and the lexicon level is 430, and it's a fiction paragraph. I'm going to select it. And as an educator, I can preview the content that's in there. And then I can also set parameters for this reading. I can give the student the ability to access number of attempts that they read this. Is it going to be unlimited, 1 or 2, or up to 7? So in this case, I'll select unlimited. And do I want to set a time limit of how long the student should take to read this? And I can select no limit. Now, if the content itself is in a language that's not familiar to the student, meaning that it's not their first language, I can increase or decrease the sensitivity of the pronunciation of words. So I can make it less sensitive if it's not their first language, or I can make it more sensitive. It all depends on the content and review that you would like to provide to the students. So in this case, I'll leave it as default. And you can enable video. So if you, as an educator, want to see how the students are enunciating the words, you are able to watch the video as they read the paragraph, or you can switch it off. So it's entirely up to you in terms of if video content is allowed or if you want to switch it off. In my case, for today's demo, I'll switch it off. It's because of the recording itself. I'll select no, and I'll say next. So what then happens is that the content will be added to the students assignment. So in this case, it's already uploaded the video. I can give this a point score. I can mark it as 50 points. I can assign it to a team, and I can say this is to all students or an individual students or a group of students. And I can select the due date and the due time of the assignment itself. And now I'll click assign. So now the assignment has been submitted to all of the students that are part of the team under algebra. And shortly, the student would receive this notification that they need to complete this task itself. So the student has received the notification that they've got the assignment. In the case of the persona of the student, if I'm the student, I can see that I've got a notification under algebra. And if I click on it, the first thing I would see is that there's a README test. So as a student, I can now view the assignment. And I can see that it's due tomorrow and it's counts 50 points. And as a student, I can go now and start taking this reading progress assignment. So while this is loading, what I'm going to do is I'll switch off the camera for now, just so it doesn't conflict with the recording, and I'll start the recording itself. So I'll click start. So once the student has completed the reading progress, the student is then able to attach the assignment and then turn it in. So now it's completed, and I'm going as a student to turn it in. So moving back to the educator's view, I can see that under the README test, if I had to click on it, how many students have this been assigned to? How many of them have turned it in or viewed it? And in this case, I can see that none of them have turned it in besides one. And I'm going to click on it to actually view how the student has delivered the reading progress. So with the power of AI, I'm able to understand the pronunciation of the words itself. I can see that there was 1 mispronunciation, 3 repetitions, 9 omissions itself. As an educator, maybe I do not want to rely on the PC to give me the results, and I want to maybe do a self-mark. I'm able to listen to the presentation by clicking play, and I can make a decision for myself on how many points I would like to mark for the student. Our tools are at the moment working in terms of understanding how students are saying certain words and the way that they're pronouncing it. And I can see that there's 1 mispronunciation. So if I want to hear the mispronunciation itself, I can click on it and say jump to word. And I can hear that I mispronounced it marshmallows itself. So in here, I'm able to listen to the information, and then I'm able to make a decision, final decision, if I would like to say that marshmallows was pronounced right or incorrectly. So in here, I can say, you know, this has been self-corrected or it's marked as correct. So I'll mark this as correct. I'm also able to get more insights from how a student has been progressing with reading progress itself. So we're clicking on insights. I'm able to see how a student has improved in terms of their reading progress. I'm able to see how they are making more progress in terms of mispronunciations or omission or insertions of words into this. So as an educator, now I have the insights for reading progress, and now I have the full ability to understand how a student is progressing. And then I've also been able to get challenging words. If there's, you know, a few students that are struggling, I'm able to pick up, you know, keywords of how students are struggling, like bluff, although, and so forth. So in here, I'm able to track how a student's progressing, as well as understanding how the class itself is also struggling. And as an example, if I had to submit a reading task, I can see that the class average was 145 words per minute on average, whereas this particular student is on 130 words per minute on average. So I'm able to gather more insights based on how a student is keeping up with the class and if there's additional effort that needs to be put in with the student itself. So with that is a summary of our reading progress. If you need more information on it, please visit our Microsoft blog page in education. All of our latest and greatest features that we are providing up to date is all publicly available. And with that, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time out to listen to today's presentation. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to your education representation, and we're more than happy to assist you with any of your future requirements. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Mike Tholfsen from the Microsoft Education team. Today, I'm going to be talking about what's new in Teams for EDU. And we've got a ton of updates that we've been working on. And it's so great to be coming at you today for your EDU days. Really excited, and thank you to all of the MIE experts out there. So let's get going. At a high level, the world is still in the midst of a pandemic. Things have gotten much better in many cases, but there's still hybrid learning and all sorts of challenges, whether that's online learning infrastructure, the way we communicate and collaborate. Inclusive tools and accessible tools are really important. And then also user readiness and training. That's where Microsoft Teams can come in. Whether it's collaborative classrooms, personalizing learning, PLCs, working with staff, everything is in that one hub for all of your education needs. Teams is great for delivering live class lessons or hybrid lessons. You can record lessons in the cloud and it integrates with other LMSs. But also Teams is really important for collaborative classrooms, whether that is teachers collaborating with students or student voice or the ability to share content or be organized. And you can personalize learning with Teams assignments. Assignments are a great way to distribute lessons, grade homework, get feedback, use rubrics. Everything is involved with the personalization with assignments. And lastly, at that high level, Teams is a very accessible platform. Whether it's immersive reader for reading help, translation, live captions, accessibility checking. We have math tools from M365 built into Teams along with all of our other apps. So Teams is the most inclusive platform out there. Now, before we get into the actual what's new, I want to put this out there. Many of the new features and the updates I am always putting out on my YouTube channel. You can see here, it's Microsoft Tips and all of the new features and updates. So if you want a deep dive demo for any of the new Teams features or any of the Office features, go to my channel there. Feel free to subscribe. I put updates out on a very regular cadence with all the latest and greatest. And now as a bonus, this is not a joke. It's actually kind of funny. I started experimenting with micro-learning how-to videos for Microsoft Tips on TikTok. I don't do any dancing, but I'm almost up to 1 million followers on TikTok, and I just put out little short how-to videos on things like Teams and Word and Excel and PowerPoint. So that's kind of a fun one if you're into very short learning. So let's get started. The first big new update for Teams, and perhaps one of my very favorites because my team helped build this, is something called Reading Progress. Reading Progress is a reading fluency tool. So the idea is you have a young student and this student needs to practice reading out loud. And often that is done by reading in front of an educator who has a passage, and the student reads the passage and the teacher marks up the passage, words that the student mispronounced or omitted and skipped, or maybe words that the student inserted on accident. Students don't like to do this. And teachers, while they know it's important to do reading fluency checks, it can be very, very time consuming. That could be a paper, stopwatch, and a pencil. Teachers just don't have time. And during the pandemic, research has shown that reading fluency has really suffered. So when a teacher has to hear a student read out loud 27 times, one at a time, it can be very time consuming. So we said, how can we help the teacher let students practice reading out loud more often? and still get insights into that progress in analytics. And that's where Reading Progress comes in. This is built in, it's free, it's part of Microsoft Teams, and it works on any device. So it can work on Mac, PC, web, iPad, Android. Also, during the pandemic, there was a large-scale study that showed in earlier grades, reading fluency was about 30% lower. And what is reading fluency? Reading fluency is reading speed, accuracy, and with expression or not, how you read with expression. All of those together make reading fluency. So I'm going to show, instead of doing a click-through demo, I'm going to play a short video that really shows the power of how reading progress in Teams works.
Literacy is so important, and it's my job to help the kids grow in that and to see the value in that and to break the mindsets of like, oh, I'm just a bad reader, I don't like to read.
I don't have to worry about other people just looking at me and staring at me. It's just reading to myself, sort of, but on camera.
When I came across Reading Progress, I was able to say, hey, I've assigned a passage to each and every one of you guys. At your reading level, I want you to record you reading this passage. I was surprised that when the whole class came back, literally within 10 minutes, everyone was already done. Having that recording, I'm able to spend ample amount of time to analyze, and instead of using my instructional time, it allows me to use my planning time to figure out how do I intentionally approach every student. The whole class, this is what I'll teach them, and maybe this one specific individual student, I need to address with him or her this specific area. Reading Progress has really motivated a lot of kids to work harder and kind of gave them ownership of their learning.
Well, as a mother and an educator, you know that the conference with the student is the most powerful piece. It's not necessarily them reading and recording, it's what you do with that reading and with that recording. And she's able to capitalize on that even faster now.
It probably helps me be a better reader because I can actually listen to myself. And if I did say a word wrong or something, I'd be able to say it better than next time because I know that I said it wrong.
Struggling readers, they struggle, so they avoid reading. And by avoiding reading, they struggle even more. And so it's been really cool to watch how my kids are, reading more at home. They're more excited to read in the classroom. They have their personal goals that they've made, not me. And so they're excited to work.
Coming from an administrative perspective is that this isn't just a classroom tool. Because we have so much access to data, that this is a powerful tool to change the learning trajectory of a building. But watching her grow in her reading, it's been a joy for me. I used to love reading as a child, and I wanted that for her.
Now that we use the app, I'm more confident. I'm less worried about it. I get worried about a lot of things, but reading now is one of the things that I'm not worried about anymore.
I want all of my students to get to the point where they know what it feels like to get lost in a book.
Favorite part is when I get to a really interesting part in the book and then I can't stop reading it, and it's really fun.
So that should give you a sense of how Reading Progress works with this school in Tacoma that you just saw. They were an early adopter. This is rolled out globally, and we support 37 languages for auto detect. And we have many more languages and locales coming soon. So this can be used across the world. Today, it's there in Teams. You just might not have seen where it is. And there's more links to show at the end of this deck, more information on Reading Progress. My YouTube channel has an in-depth, step-by-step video, so check that out too. And we worked with top educators and experts when we built Reading Progress. So it was informed by hundreds and hundreds of educators in testing and reading scientists. Something else I'll add, right about now or in the next couple of days, we have a set of new features rolling out to Reading Progress in Teams. Now the ability for a teacher to return the passage back to the student with the words marked up and the reading scores, and that reading report back to the student will be customizable, which has been a big request. Also, teachers will be able to pick passages from OneDrive or a Teams file library. So no longer will you only have the ability to upload a passage like a Word doc or a PDF, now you'll be able to pick them from a shared library. So if your school has a bunch of reading passages, you can put them into a shared Teams library and a teacher can pick that same passage across your school. We also have some keyboard shortcuts that will speed up the teacher review and a couple other updates, including video recording for iOS and Android devices. So those are rolling out right now. Now in Teams assignments, we've got a bunch of new updates. Reading progress is probably the biggest one, but you've also maybe noticed in the last month or so, there's an improved navigation. So on the left-hand side over here, there are new places to navigate. We moved all that to the left: assignments, class notebook, grades, and insights. Also, Insights is pre-installed, so you no longer have to install that separately. So this is a little bit streamlined and easier to navigate your class team. We also just launched apps in assignments. So your assignments, you can now add apps like Kahoot and Nearpod and ThingLink and Flipgrid. You can attach those apps to your assignment like you see here, and there'll be lots of education apps that you can add. So that has just rolled out recently. And if you have apps you want added there, reach out to those EdTech partners and tell them, hey, now apps can be added to assignments. They can work to get their app added too. We're also just in the process of rolling out video assignments. So you'll be able to attach a video as a teacher. Maybe you want to record your video instructions for your students. Now you can add a video and attach that right to your assignment. Like you see here, record and upload the video. Now when the student gets those instructions, they can open up that video right from the assignment. So that's going to be under the new dropdown that you saw there. That's rolling out right now. Another one that's rolling out right now is whiteboard assignments. So you will be able to add a whiteboard canvas to an assignment. So you can make a group project where you want them to turn something in. You can make an individual assignment where they attach a whiteboard. So this is going to be rolling out in probably the next week or so. It's brand new, and it'll show right here under that new dropdown. You're going to see whiteboard canvas. So watch for that one. Assignments on the calendar rolled out probably a month ago. This has been the #1 request in Teams, which is let my students see their assignments on their calendar, on their Outlook calendar, or their Teams calendar for that matter, because they're the same thing. So you can see here, the teacher can drop this down and say, I want all students to have that assignment show up on their calendar. And this can be a global setting, so you just set it once, and every single time after that, these assignments will show up on the student's calendar. And you can set them so they show up on the teacher's calendar at the same time. So you can see here how that works. Another recent update is group assignments. Group assignments are fully rolled out now. And as you can see here, what you do is you, as a teacher, you create groups. And then I can have my different groups turn in a single piece of homework, for example. So you could have the whole group turn in a whiteboard, have the whole group turn in a research paper. And as the teacher, you define those groups for your group assignments. So this is fully rolled out right now in Teams. It rolled out really recently. Another update that rolled out recently was the ability to have your forms inside of Teams. It used to be when you created a new form or a quiz, it would launch it out into the browser, which is kind of distracting. Now what happens is if you choose a new form or quiz from within Teams assignments, you can see here, it creates that form right within inside of Teams. So it keeps it all in one place and it's a little bit less jarring. So this is also rolled out very recently. This is a great one for students. Now students with their mobile device, iOS or Android, can take a photo of their homework. So right here, I'm going to go and take a photo of my homework, like you'll see here, snap that photo, maybe crop it a little bit. And then what I can do is confirm and attach it, tap done. Now it's on my assignment. And now I just click turn in and there's my little turn in celebration. So adding a photo to turn in with your homework, that has rolled out for Teams Mobile recently. Now we're going to get to apps and insights. Next, we'll be talking about social and emotional learning. The well-being of learners is top of mind for schools and systems. And this matters a great deal now because emotions are the gatekeepers of cognition, attention, and motivation, and students feeling anxious and uncertain about their lives and their learning. We've done a lot of research and we've designed a new tool called Reflect that allows educators to quickly check the emotional state of their class. How is my class or my school feeling? Let's see how that works. I'm signed into Teams as an educator, and I'm going to click New Conversation. I'm going to create a new Reflect check-in for my class. So right here is the Reflect button, and I'll click it. Here's the Reflect dialog. I can ask a question, and I'm going to ask, how are you feeling today? But I have a bunch of different questions around goals, learning, or just personal and social. There are also important privacy controls, so I can make this completely anonymous. I can make it only so the teacher sees the responses. I'll go down and click Send to post this message to the class. Here's that Reflect message. Now I'm going to sign in as a student to show how you fill it out. I'm signed in as the student, and here's that Reflect post. How are you feeling today? So I'll go here and click an emotion, this one. Now I'm going to name my emotion, and I have lots of options. By hovering on the word, I also get this feelings monster, and this helps me visualize what this emotion might look like. Now I can hover and get the different feeling monsters. Now maybe I want to change this. Maybe I feel a little bit differently. I choose this one. Now I have some different emotions, and I can hover and get some different visualizations as well. And maybe in this case I'm feeling a little bit anxious. I can go down and also see previous responses. So here's how I felt over time, but in this case I'm going to just submit my Reflect for today and then close. Now I'm signed back in as a teacher, and I want to explore this daily check-in that I've done with Reflect. So I go here and click Explore. Now I get a nice distribution of how people are feeling across the class, and I can drill in on specific students. So if I want to drill in on the top here, I can get a sense of how Marcia, James, and Eldon are doing and previous reflections. So I can look for trends or patterns. I'll go back. I'll click Done. Even more interesting, I can look at class insights. So I'm going to go over here and click Insights. And now I have an entire class dashboard of all the different check-ins and emotions across my class. I can look for patterns. I can scroll down and see some of the most common words that were used: cheerful, overwhelmed, creative. And down here, I can even get a student list that shows a little weekly summary of how my students are feeling. The last thing to show with Reflect is that we also have school and district dashboards available. What this does is you can check the school climate over here on the right at a glance as a school leader and have a sense of that school climate pulse, which is so important right now. Another small but important update for Class Insights is that now OneNote Class Notebook updates, edits, and reviewing pages, all of that can show up right inside of your insights. So as a teacher now, I can drill in and get insights and analytics on how people are interacting with that class notebook. That's been a top request. That's fully rolled out recently. We also have a math app in Teams. So if you go and add an app on the left-hand bar, you can add this math app. And now you can see math is fully accessible right here in Teams. I can write, I can use my keyboard. I've got a nice math keyboard. So this Teams math app recently rolled out. So if you go and search for apps in Teams, type in math, and you'll be able to add this really easily. Next up is LMS integration. We've had the ability now to add teams and meetings into top learning management systems. The biggest one is now you can add a class team into your LMS. So things like Canvas or Blackboard, I can add a class team like you see here inside of my LMS. In addition, we have LTI integration for places like Canvas and meetings. So now if I use Canvas, I can integrate Teams meetings directly into my Canvas course. LTI is an open standard, and now Teams Meeting supports it, as you see here in this little example. Here's what it looks like when I add Teams Meetings into Canvas. So if I have a Canvas course and I want to use a Teams meeting with it, it's really easy to attach that. And speaking of Teams meetings, the last sets of updates I'm going to show are a lot of the ones that have come to Teams meetings. Teams is always improving meetings, and there's a bunch of great updates. One of my favorites is presenter mode. You can see here, you can overlay yourself right on top of the content. And there's different things like newscaster mode and overlay mode and side-by-side mode. So lots of different updates. This is just one on presenter mode. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I have some in-depth videos that show exactly how presenter mode works. Another great one is dynamic view, like you see here, where all of the video squares can be on the side or they can go along the top, and they can dynamically update and shift how the content is based on the needs. You can also pin multiple people as spotlight presenters. So for sign language now, you can pin a person, and you can also have the main presenter right next to that person pinned. So multiple spotlights and pinnings, and you can see vertical or horizontal videos in Teams. We call this dynamic view. Another nice one is captions and speaker attribution. So Teams has real-time live captioning to make really accessible meetings, and you can see how it labels the person who is speaking. So I can be labeled as I'm speaking, you can record the meeting, and you can have a transcript going in the meeting. So not only do you have live captions, you have who's talking, you can record the transcript. You can see here Abby is talking, and then Gabby is talking, and so all these different folks are getting labeled at the bottom. When I'm done, I can turn this off, I can stop the recording, but also there's been a transcript that was kept. So I say, hey, where's the transcription of the entire conversation? I'm gonna turn that transcription on, and you're gonna see on the right-hand side, everything that was talked about is right there. So all the live captions are fully rolled out now, and they're even stored afterwards. So the meeting transcript is right there, and I can open up the entire transcript from my meeting. It's a very accessible feature. Another great one is presenting in Teams from PowerPoint. So if you're in a Teams meeting and you have a PowerPoint open, in the upper right, there's a Present in Teams button. If you click that, it will upload your PowerPoint directly into Teams and put it into presenter live mode. So it's really nice to have a PowerPoint and with a single click, push that right into a Teams meeting and you're ready to go. Another great one for education is disabling video cameras. So if you have students and you happen to be in an online meeting or a hybrid meeting, you can hit that 3-dot menu there, choose disable camera and turn off the camera or re-enable the camera. You can also disable people's microphones. This was a top educator request. For breakout rooms, there are a bunch of great new updates as well. The biggest one, my personal favorite, is the ability to pre-create breakout rooms. So if you want to have breakout rooms, now you can go in as an educator and create all 5 rooms, assign all the students to the rooms, and they'll all be ready to go when the students come into that session. You can also do things like reuse rooms. You can now have co-organizers for your breakout rooms. That was another top request that we'd say, hey, as a teacher, I'd like to have some helpers with these breakout rooms and help manage the rooms. Now you can have co-organizers for your breakout rooms. You can also time them with countdowns, and there's a couple other updates. But the breakout rooms have gotten much better in the last couple of months. And again, I've got all of this on my YouTube channel that goes into great detail on each of these capabilities in breakout rooms. Forms quizzes in a Teams meeting. This allows the person who's organizing the meeting, the teacher, to do real-time quizzes. So here's an example where I've created a little quiz. I can launch the quiz as a teacher, and everyone gets that pop-up. You can have like a little pop quiz or multiple choice quiz. You can design those and launch those right there interactively in your Teams meetings. So this is also recently rolled out. This is one that my team personally worked on. Immersive Reader is now rolled out for iOS and Android teams. So any chat or any post in a conversation or a channel, you can now launch the Immersive Reader. And you get the full Immersive Reader, read aloud, translation, line focus, picture dictionary. All of that is brought to Teams Mobile for both iOS and Android. That's also very recently rolled out. And again, makes it more inclusive for students, also parents, if parents want to engage in that content. The last couple of updates are around Whiteboard. Some huge updates for the Whiteboard. It's been redone. There are great templates in the Whiteboard now. They're about to add live cursors like you see here. So you can see these live cursors moving around. We've also added the laser pointer. So this is a great one. The laser pointer right there on your whiteboard. And the whiteboard itself, the user interface has been updated and improved. I just put a video out that goes really deep on all the new updates for Whiteboard. Just a couple here, but that should give you a good sense. The Whiteboard's gotten rapidly improved. That is my very fast summary of the updates in Teams for education. I'll put this up again for those of you that might have missed it. I cover many or all of these features in great detail on my YouTube channel. So I put out videos with all the new features, all the new updates. So go check that out if you want to learn more. There's also some great resources here, some links, some blogs. You can learn more about reading progress. We actually have a bunch of reading progress resources here as well. So check those out. And there is a link for this entire deck. So if you want a link with all the great stuff that you just saw, go to here. You can also use that QR code on the screen and send me an email. You can reach out to me on Twitter, my YouTube channel, my TikTok. My inbox is open, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your Edu days. Thank you so much for having me. We'll see ya.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hasna Al-Ayyoubi Al-Idrisi, and I'm the Learning Solution Specialist for Middle East and Africa emerging markets. I'm really happy to be here with you today for this Edu Day. And the agenda of this session will be a demo on the MEC, the Microsoft Educator Center. And we will have a presentation around the educators program. So the MIE, the MIE experts, the MIE trainers. And then we will have a brief session as well on the incubators and showcases for program. So without further ado, we will start with the demo. So for the Educator Center, we go to education.microsoft.com, and you have a little tab here where it says sign in. You click on the sign in, and you can sign in with your professional or personal account. So here I'll be signing in with my professional account. And as soon as you sign in, this is basically the view that you will get. So you will have the Educator Center, training, lesson plan, programs, products, and resources. So if we go to training, we have 3 tabs here: courses, learning path, and webinar and online events. So if we click on courses, you will have 204 courses available for you for your professional development. And the good news here is that you have what we call to refine your results. So you can actually filter by the activity type. So if you want it to be a course or a learning path or a lesson plan, by the difficulty. So if you want it to be a beginners, or if you're intermediate or advanced, and also by progress. So if it's a course that you haven't started yet, or if it's a course that is in progress, or if it has been already completed, but you just want to go back to it. So let's say, for example, this particular course that I've already started, you just click on it and you have resume course. You can just click on your resume course and it'll take you directly to where you have left it before. So that being said, there's also, you can also filter by subject. So if you're an art and design teacher, if you're a math or economic teacher, if you're a reading and writing teacher, you can decide which subjects you want to learn more about. Of course, you can click here on more and you'll get much more subjects here for you. You also can filter by age group. So if you're teaching 3 to 5 years old, 11 to 13 years old, 14 to 18, or 18 plus, you can also filter by that. Then in case, what is the practice that you would want to learn more about? So is it collaboration, critical thinking? Is it creativity or communication? You can also check which one is convenient for you here. There's also a tab for duration, for example. If you have 1 hour, less than an hour, longer than an hour, depending on the time that you have it available for your professional development session, you can just choose here and filter by that. So for instance, if I get to take medium, like 1 to 3 hours, and then I choose age group 11 to 13, for example, and then I'm interested in gaming, let's say, learning about gaming, it will filter to you, taking into consideration all of the above. Also, you can delete session tab by tab depending on your request. So that's with regards to course. So for instance, if I click on Minecraft and I want to start a course on Minecraft, you get here to this you have this particular view with a course description, the duration of the course, which is an hour, the recognition that you would get at the end of the course, and what are the learning objectives and what are the essential questions that you need to have. So you just have to click on the start course here. It's a beginners, by the way. It also states if it's a beginners or not. And then you get to your course. So you have a table of content. and you can go from the third part, go back to the second, if you missed anything, until you reach out to the quizzes. The quiz normally it's from 5 to 10 questions, depending on the course that you take, and you must get an 80% to be able to pass the test, or basically to be able to pass the quiz and get the badge. And of course, you can do that as much as you can. You can take the quiz as much as you would want to. Then we have what we call the learning path. The learning path actually is basically anything you would want to learn on a particular subject. It's how to become the expert matter in a particular subject. Let's say, for example, Minecraft. When you go to Minecraft here, you have a description. The duration is 8 hours because it has many courses here within the learning path, but it will be dedicated specifically to Minecraft. You'll have an overview, you'll have the learning objectives here again, and at the end, you will have all the learning path outline where you can either resume the course that you started or open the new course, and all the different badges that you will get at the end of this particular learning path. Other than that, there's also the webinars and training events, and that's super interesting because you can attend any events or any webinar, and the good news is that you can also filter. So here you just click on filter and you can choose, depending if you're an educator, you're a school leader, it's for higher education, if you want an on-demand, a virtual, in-person event, and also you can choose which is the date that is convenient for you, and it will filter to you the actual. So basically, you can choose any of the events here that you have, and you just click on more, and it will take you directly to the actual events. So it will directly take you to the actual event, and you will have the date of the event, what's the event about, and you can register direct here. So within the lesson plans, we have Hack in STEM, for example. Hack in STEM is really interesting. I really encourage you to go and have a look at it. So it's basically, for example, if I take this example of building a machine that emulates human, you will have here the resources that are available. So build instruction, an Excel workbook, a board book, a material list of what will you need to be able to do this activity, and you will be able to do this activity with your students within your class. It also states what's the grade, 6th to 8th grade, 10 to 14 years old, and also the cost of the material that you might need. For Minecraft Education Edition, if you don't know about Minecraft, I encourage you highly to go to Minecraft tab here and check it out. You can start at the Hour of Code. You can start the free trial version and have the logins, the 25 logins that you can start with your students straight away. Here you will find, how to get started. You will find the different resources that are available for you to be able to use Minecraft. Now for the programs, we have the Microsoft Innovative Program here. Couple of programs that we have that are dedicated for educators. So here we have what we call the Microsoft Innovative Educator Program. It's basically how do educators use technology, and it's actually the first base of being an innovative educator with Microsoft. What you need to do here is to join the Microsoft Educator Center, exactly as what we did before. At the beginning of this presentation, So you click on sign in and join the Microsoft Educator Center, and you complete a 2-hour course of training. So you either complete the 2-hour course of training within the courses here within the training tab, or there's another way. In case you have a trainer that has done a training for you, be it a Microsoft employee or be it a Microsoft partner, you can click on your profile, redeem achievements code, and copy and paste the code that will be given to you by your trainer. So other than the Microsoft Innovative Educator, we also have the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. It's basically, as you become skilled at integrating new technology into your classroom, you can consider submitting what we call a self-nomination to be able to join the Microsoft Innovative Educators Expert program and be part of this amazing community. So the way the requirements are basically to be a Microsoft Innovative Educator. So you join the Microsoft Educator Center, complete your 2 hours of training, and then you need to complete what we call a self-nomination form. You just click here on the link, and it will lead you to a file where you will have to answer a couple of questions of how you did integrate the technology inside your classroom with your students. And then they will be asking you a couple of questions regarding Microsoft tools. How did you integrate Microsoft tools in the classroom, etc. And you can be part of this amazing community at MIE Experts. We had the first session this year happening in the summer, so July, August. And there is another window that has opened from November 15th to December 15th. And please, you might want to check every time this particular website, because it gives you all the latest dates of the opening of this particular program. Here, if you are a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, you will be eligible to attend one of the events, which is the Education Exchange event. For the sake of time, I won't be playing this video, but please, I would like you to have a look at it. It's an amazing video of one of the events. It actually happens every year, of course, if we omit COVID, but every year, educators, MIE experts will get together at one of the events in one of the parts of the world, so be it Paris, be it Singapore or else, and they exchange their experiences, how did they use technology inside their classroom with their students. They represent their countries, their various countries, and they attend like a 4 to 5 days training sessions where they collaborate, where they exchange. It's such an amazing experience that I would like, and I would wish for each and every educator to be able to attend this event, because it's really a life-changing event. So this is with regards to the MIE expert. There's also another level, if I may say, which is the Innovative Educators Trainer. So if you're interested in becoming a trainer and you want to train educators in your schools, you can complete an instructor-led trainer academy on the MIE Trainer Learning Path that you might find on the learning path that we discussed earlier in the presentation. And you may want to join the LinkedIn group. Basically, you just click here and it directs you directly to the LinkedIn group. But you will have also to commit to report a training of 100 educators between July 1st to June 30th of each year. So basically, to be able to train the educators in your district, in your community, in your school. So that's with regards to the Microsoft Innovative Educators program. Here we can also have a tab with all the products, so you can check whichever product you want. If you want OneNote, you want to know more about Flipgrid or immersive learning, you just click on this and it gets you all the information you needed. And there's another tab here with regards to the resources, where you can just tab, for example, Teams, and it will direct you to all the courses that are in relationship with Teams, if you want to learn more about this particular product, for example. So other than the educators program, there is what we call the Showcase School program. So the Showcase School program is a program that is dedicated for schools specifically, and it's basically to become a Showcase School, you need first to become what we call an incubator school. So to be familiar with Microsoft K-12, the Education Transformation Framework. So if we click here on the Education Transformation Framework, you will have the 4 main pillars, which is teaching and learning, student, school and success, leadership and policy, intelligent environment. And you will get to know everything about the Education Transformation Framework. You will also have a Showcase School rubric with the 5 main rubric of what is expected from you by Microsoft to become a Showcase School, from the initiating, developing, advancing to become a leading Showcase School. And here you have clear description of the metrics that are taken into consideration while analyzing the project of the Showcase School. And basically, you just click here and fill out the self-nomination form, similar to what has been done for the educator, but this is specifically for the schools. And the Showcase School program basically is you get you get to self-nominate yourself to become an incubator. You get approved by our Microsoft team, and then once you designed your transformation plan, and once you reach the advanced level of transformation maturity, you will be ready to become a Showcase School and apply to the Showcase School program. And of course, you will then hopefully be accepted by our Microsoft team and be part of this amazing community again of leading schools throughout the world. I just would like to share with you with regards to the Microsoft. So with regards to the Microsoft Showcase School, I would like to share with you concrete criteria for you to have full visibility of what is expected from a Showcase School perspective. So first, the commitment to transform. So system, leadership, vision, and commitment to embark on a journey guided by the Education Transformation Framework we discussed earlier. The culture of learning and growth. So 60% of the educators and leaders have to have a profile on the Microsoft Educator Center. So basically, get to Microsoft Educator Center and sign in and be part of the Microsoft Educator Center. 25% at least of the educators should be MIEs. So should have the first step, which is 1,000 points. So to get the first badge of MIEs. And 25% are MCE certified, as well as 30% of the educators should be MIE experts. So basically 3% of the educators should be actually gone through the self-nomination and have been approved by our Microsoft people. Then personalized learning and inclusion. So meet every student needs and focus on realizing everyone's potential. The future ready skills. So actively working on developing students' future ready skills. This can be throughout the certification. It can be throughout the different programs such as Imagine Cup or Imagine Cup Junior. It can be also throughout using Minecraft in the classroom, etc. The data drives decisions. So use insight to provide guidance for improvement and visibility into your progress. And also Microsoft Solution Impact. So basically, if we have realized that there is a correlation between the impact and the usage of Microsoft solutions. So 60% of the staff, students, teachers should be using Teams, and 90% should be using Office 365 exclusively. And 60% of all devices should be Windows 10 or Windows 11. So and the system leaders should be also using the Office 365 analytics. So these are, clear criteria of what is expected to become a showcase school. And I really, really encourage you to go through this journey, be it, from the professional developments for the educators to become a certified MIE or Microsoft Innovative Educator to a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. To join this amazing community of educators that we have that are leading the future of our schools and our children, and also to be part of the Microsoft Showcase School also project, moving from the incubator to becoming an amazing showcase school. So I hope this was useful. I hope that this was useful, and I wish you a great evening, and thank you so much for making the time, and thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely day.
Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Stephen Reid, Customer Engagement PM at Microsoft, and I've been using Minecraft for over 10 years to teach in over 70 countries around the world. Minecraft's just one of the games that you can use, but it is the game changer in the field of game-based learning. There is so much that you can do with it. And so today I'd like to talk to you about some of those things. We have some really exciting new projects on coding and literacy coming up, and I also want to show you what Minecraft can do with some of the new features that came with the latest release. You can follow me on a live stream called Play Matters on Twitch, or you can also follow me on Twitter, Stephen Reid EDU. Now, we're talking specifically about Minecraft Education Edition, a version of Minecraft that is designed specifically for the classroom. If you're not familiar with that already, you will need a Microsoft account, either Minecraft purchased separately on A1 licensing, or you have it already included in A3 and A5 licensing. And many of you will already have access to Minecraft Education Edition, and so it just needs to be switched on and you can get started. Now, to do this next part, I want to just switch to full screen and show you some things. So, now that I'm out the way, let's have a look at Minecraft. So, first things first, I want to let you know that almost everything is inside the library. You can click on View Library inside the game and go to Subject Kits, and you can find that there's science lessons, maths lessons, history and culture lessons, digital citizenship, literacy and language, but there's even a section for esports. And I'm going to be showing you some of the make and model worlds later. You can just see how many of them there are. But if we head back to the Play menu, Education Edition contains things like cameras, build allow deny blocks that let you control where and when children can work and build and create. It contains books and quills, immersive reader is built in. There's all sorts of amazing new features. And speaking of new features, let's look at what is new and featured in the library. So we click on this button on the front menu and you can automatically see that we've made a cyber safe world that you can explore. We've made an active citizen world, Hour of Code, Lessons in Good Trouble, and we've also made a great tech story as well. So there's 5 things that you can explore there that are new to you. The projects I'd like to talk to you about are still to come. They're not launched yet, but here's a sneak preview. We click on Play and View My Worlds. The first one I want to show you is a world called League of Literacy. Now this is coming as a complete package later on in March, and this is going to be designed to help you, to help your learners to read. League of Literacy is designed specifically as a giant table with massive open books. Now, some of the decorative books around the edge, there's a book over here that's exploding with lava in it. There's a book with a palace in it, a book with a skull and candles. There's a pirate ship bursting out of this one. If we just get a little closer look. Imagine what this story's about. Adventure on the high seas. And we'll go into the ship and out the other side. There's also a book with a planet growing out of it, and we have mushrooms growing out of this one. How old must that book be? Now, as you can see on the ground, however, there's a front cover, there's a back cover, and then there's this series of round books in a circle that you can then have your students use. And the point of this world is to set your children a text. Now, this could be anything. This could be the Gruffalo for young ones. It could be Harry Potter for your elementary students. And it could also be Of Mice and Men or To Kill a Mockingbird for your upper school students. And then it could be anything you like. And then what they have to do is, in order to be able to show their comprehension of that text, they have to use Minecraft to create scenes and character studies and alternative endings and letters to the author and all sorts of wonderful things for the audience. And so you might get them to use one of these giant books to create a character study. So let's take the orange book, for example. We can do a character study of Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. Why did I choose orange? And so we can have however they want to do this, they can build a full character study. They can do a critical analysis of the character, and then rather than just build him, they could build all sorts of things about him. Maybe his moods, maybe his characteristics, maybe where he lives, all that kind of stuff. So that we can show that they could comprehend exactly who that character is within the story. We might also do an emotional build. So the red book could be a love story, or the yellow book could be a happy scene, or the blue books could be sad scenes, for example. We could also do alternative endings. What do we think would have happened if Voldemort had won? Let's put this on the purple book and see what a future Hogwarts might look like if Voldemort had won. And so we can get our students to critically evaluate text and then put their own spin on it. What we can also do, and there are dozens of things you can do with this, as I'm sure teachers of literature and literacy know. What we can also do is, once we've finished our builds, we can take photographs. Now, I'm just going to take a picture of this castle over here to give you an example. It happens to be snowing as well. But there we are. That's my build. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down onto any one of the books. I'm just going to go onto this one as an example, and we're going to write our story. So I'm going to say, Dear J.K. Rowling, I loved your books. Oops. However, I do feel that Hermione is the real hero. Isn't that true? Yours, Stephen. There we are. There's my letter to J.K. Rowling to tell her that I think that the books should have been called Hermione and the Philosopher's Stone. But what we can also do on the other side is we can put in our picture. My Hogwarts. There we go. And then we can sign it, and once we've signed it, we can then put it on a lectern anywhere in the world for other students to find. Now that it's on there, it can't be taken, can't be destroyed. It just sits as an observable piece that other students can see. And so this allows us to take it not just from the reading part, but also the writing part as well. Now, before they write in the book, I often encourage my students to write in real life. So they're doing all of the writing skills, including their typing, as part of League of Literacy. Also, anytime you see writing in Minecraft, you can click on the Immersive Reader symbol and it will open up Immersive Reader. And as many of you will be aware, you can translate that writing into 111 different languages. You can help your students to read it more clearly with line spacing, have it read back to them. You can just highlight the syllables or the vowels. You can change the color in the background. There's so many other things that you can do. And so Immersive Reader is automatically built in. And then what we're also doing in late March is building League of Literacy around reading progress. And so if you haven't seen Reading Progress already, it's part of Microsoft Teams. It's already built in. Check it out. Reading Progress is fantastic, and it's coming to League of Literacy in March. So if you're excited about that, reach out and we can get you set up with some League of Literacy resources. Now, the second thing I'd like to show you is Carnival of Code. And the first thing I want to show you is this spelling game that my students have made. So Carnival of Code is basically set in this wonderful world with a giant suitcase, and the suitcase has opened up, and out of it a carnival or a circus has risen with tents and caravans, and everybody loves unicorns. There's unicorns, and there's ringmasters and all sorts of wonderful NPCs. We've got 52 variations of butterfly. And then there's just this big open space. If you ignore the letters, this is normally just a big open space. And inside that space is where we encourage students to learn to code. Now, if I press the C key, coding will open up. Now, because of the way we've got the video set up and the time constraints that we have on this video, we can't show you everything. But what I can do is set it up for you. So I'm just going to press the C key. I'm going to add the code and press play. And there's a piece of code running in the background now that our students made using JavaScript that means that when we type the word letters and press enter, we get a whole new set of letters every single time, completely randomized as well. Now this is really clever. This is using JavaScript or block code, depending on which way you want to code it. And your students can make any game they like. We've had students make art games, maths games, capture the flag games, spelling games, Boggle word puzzle games, you name it, they've done it. And it's really just a way of teaching the principles of code, variables, logic, loops, all kinds of things like that, using the theme of making their own games and challenging their peers. And so in this case, let's just get another set of letters. I'm just going to give you a moment in this video to find the largest word you can using those letters. Oh wow, we got an X and 2 G's and a V. What can I find? I found air. Pair, P-A-I-R. I think that's it. I think that is the biggest I can find. So, I found a 4-letter word. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Oh, this could be better. I-T-L-D, C-J-E. Give us some vowels. Give us some vowels. Oh, there we go. Tidal. T-I-D-A-L. Tidal. Yes. Or tides. T-I-D-E-S. Perfect. Okay, so you can see how that works, and then we challenge our students. So it's really a way of students challenging other students to games, spelling games, maths games, art games, science games. There's all sorts of wonderful things inside there. And so Carnival of Code is available. Again, reach out. We'll be releasing this formally very soon, but if you're interested in running Carnival of Code, let me know, and you too can have some fun in there. We do projects around bug fixing and exploring the code and then diversifying the code. So one student takes another student's game and then makes it better, and so on. And then finally, the last thing I want to show you is if we go back into the library and we go to subject kits and down to esports, we have an entire esports section where we have make and model worlds, where the students are encouraged to simply make and model with a timer and a scoreboard, which I'll show in a moment. Code to create, which is exactly the same worlds, except this time you only use code to create what it is that you're doing. So we're talking about competitive, collaborative and creative coding, which students love, and then creative clash, which is really just a lot of fun. Students compete as bees and have to pollinate flowers in a giant garden in order to fill a honey jar, and it's the first team to fill the honey jar wins. Or the other version is you are a pirate and you have to find as much treasure as possible, get it to your ship and get it in a treasure chest in order for it to be counted by the time runs out. But let's go back to make and model, and you can see just how many worlds are in here. You can see there's make and model Space Race, Pirate Cove, Gold Rush, Busy Bees. There's a 3D print one, Binary Builder set inside a giant computer. The one I want to show you, however, is, let's go back up to Pirate Cove. And all we do is we click on it and we click Create World. And what happens is you automatically jump into that world. And here we are. Let me just show you what this world looks like. So make and model Pirate Cove is set on a giant island with skulls and cannons and treasure chests and a little pirate village, but also these two huge galleons. Now these galleons are where the game takes place, and you can see from the sails that we have a yellow and a green score, and we also have a timer on the sails. Now if I head back to the controls, as a teacher, you can set the time. So you get the yellow team to stand on the yellow blocks, the green team to stand on the green blocks, and then you add 10 minutes or 1 minute increments, or you can take away those times as well. And so we're just going to add 10 minutes and we're going to press start. And when we press start, any student standing on yellow or green will get teleported straight to their ship. And you'll see that the time has now started on that ship. 9:54, 53, 52, and it's counting down. And then the students build inside this space. So the green team build on the green ship, the yellow team build on the yellow ship. And then as a teacher, you're then able to take armor stands. I'm just going to get myself some of those. And you're able to build one. Whoops, let me get into teacher mode. There we are. So you're able to vote here. So say, you know, there's a rubric. So it's great use of scale, great use of color. I loved the way you did the annotations. It was wonderful use of storytelling. I can see that it was relevant to the topic. And you'll see now that yellow has 5 points. And you score them up to a maximum of 9. And then when the timer runs out, the team with the most score wins. It's also protected. So for example, I'm not on either team. So if I try to get into the yellow area, I get kicked out every time. If I try to get into the green area, I get kicked out. So only people on the green team can get into green, and only people on the yellow team can get into yellow. We also have structure blocks preset, so you can automatically 3D print whatever the children make. So quite often students make something remarkable in here and you can send it immediately to a 3D printer. And so our 3D make and model worlds, as you can see, I'm just going to go into View Library, Subject Kits, and down to Esports. We go into Make and Model. You can see that the exact same format happens with, let's go to let's go to Splat Racers actually. There we are. So now we're in a totally different world, but we still have a timer, a scoreboard. We have this beautiful, crazy volcano world in the background with a racetrack and floating fish and all sorts of wonderful things. But when we get down here, the yellow team stand on the yellow area, the green team stand on the green area. The teacher sets the timer, they press start, and they're taken off to their build areas. And then they also have a scoreboard where they can then put the score down. Let me just get an armor stand. Anywhere where you can find the glass, the green glass. There we are. You can see that green is scoring 3. And so all of these worlds are designed for you to just pick up and run with. And really there's 3 C's to the esports worlds: creative, competitive, and collaborative. So I want to just quickly jump into a random world. I'm just going to jump into, let's jump into our executive functioning world here. And I just want to show you some of the nice new neat things that you can do with Minecraft since the latest update. Interestingly, this world is designed specifically to help students with executive function disorder. So if your students have trouble learning, remembering, organizing, if they have issues when given tasks, you can basically give them this world, and then they move around the classroom and they organize themselves and they learn how to manage their time and their space, how to create lists, how to mind map, etc. But I want to show you the structure block, because the structure block is now new. It has updates, and you can see there that it automatically gives you a bounding box. But when we click into it, you'll see that it also has a detect button, which will automatically detect if anything is built there and try to capture it for you, which is really handy. But you can also save the redstone that's in it, and you can also copy. You can save a build, you can load a build, and you can automatically go for a 3D export. I haven't used the corner part yet, Let me explore that before I come back to you. But you can save and load. Now what this means is that you can copy and paste now using the structure blocks. So sometimes teachers have come to me and said, I made this village, but I want to fill it with houses. Do I have to do that by hand? Well, now you don't. Now you just have to take a structure block, you just build something inside it, you then say save. You need to give it a name. Let me just work out where to do that. Structure name, there we are. So we're just going to go test and we're going to save it. And then what we can do is we can then pop it there and say load. And we can load, where is it? Not animation mode, structure name, test. It's not going to let us do that. Yeah, load. There we are. And so now our block has appeared. And then we can do it again. We can go over here and we can click here. Click into it, we can say test, and let's go into load, and our block appears. So we can now start to copy and paste using those blocks, structure blocks, which is really handy. Now I just did one yellow block, but you could do entire sections of builds or houses or these tubs over here. We could copy these tubs again and again and again. This is how we did these scissors, or we did these tubs here. This was just copy and paste all the way along here. And so it's really neat that the structure block allows us to do that now. Okay, what we can also do is we also have what's called light blocks. Now light blocks are not in the inventory. You can't find light blocks even if you type light blocks. There's nothing there. I mean, you do get lights, you get shroom lights, but you get lightning rods, but you don't get light blocks. So what you do is you put in a command, and that command is give @p light underscore block, and then you have to say that you want one of them and you want the strength to be 15. And what that does is it gives you a light block. Now I'm going to switch the time to night time, and you'll see that the lights have all gone out and the classroom is now shut and there's nothing exciting going on here. But what we can do is we can go down and we can light up one of these shelves. So I'm just going to put a row of lights in there, and you can see that those lights are there, but if I move off of that in my inventory, they're gone. And what it does is it allows us to light up spaces without leaving an object like a glowstone. How we would normally have done this is we would normally have had to hide glowstones, and that would have been difficult. Glowstones normally look like that and there's no way of hiding them. But instead we can now do it invisibly, which allows us to do some really nice things, like take this sun up here. If we take this sun on this little picture and we just light it up, and then we get rid of when we come back, you can see that the sun's now been lit up. And we could light up just the word storyboarding over there, or the start, and so on. And it just makes it really, really nice. I'm going to give you an example of where we've used this before to make features of a world really stand out. And that is back to Carnival of Code. There we are. So now if I move out and round the side of the box, you'll see that there's a giant butterfly and there's some decoration and things on the box. But if I now go time set 21500, you'll see that the box is actually all lit up. The butterfly is lit up and the patterns are lit up. And if we come round the corner, you'll see that the insides of the box are all lit up. The sign at the back is all lit up. And then also our NPCs, our butterfly area, and even inside the tents are super bright. And that's because if we do give a light block, you'll see that it's filled with light blocks, but you don't see them. You can see there it's filled with light blocks, but you don't see them. And even the ribbons around here, covered in light blocks, but you just don't see them. And so light blocks are just a wonderful way of being able to take the worlds that you already make and just make them brighter and lighter and more decorated and fun. Let me just save out of that. And so I'm going to finish there because that's just a few of the things that I wanted to show you, but there are so many more. So let me just jump back to here. There we are. Back again. And so, yeah, I am going to be working throughout the year. My entire role is to support you in using Minecraft and to do as much as you possibly can with the product. So if you're interested in using Minecraft for learning possibilities across any kind of lesson, maths, science, literacy, history, social and emotional learning, we even do a series called Teaching the Tough Stuff. Which is things like gender equality, the refugee crisis, even tackling subjects like the troubles that we're having in the world right now, climate change, war, for example, and really talking to children about the stuff that's difficult. If you want to do anything like that with Minecraft, please just reach out and give me a shout. Again, check me out on twitch.tv/playmatters, and also down at the bottom there, you can follow me on Twitter on Stephen Reid EDU. I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you so much.
فهكذا سنكون قد وصلنا إلى نهاية هذا الحدث. شكرا لكم على حضوركم وعلى الوقت الذي خصصتموه لهذا اللقاء. أتمنى لكم أمسية طيبة ولنلتقي في ورشات مقبلة إن شاء الله. شكرا، مع السلامة.